What's going on, YouTube? So this is gonna be a video about me teaching my first barber class. I'm gonna be teaching how to fade, line up, how to do a haircut from start to finish, step by step. This is something I've never done. This is something I never even thought about doing. People have asked me to do it multiple times, over and over and over throughout the years of me cutting, but I've always said no because I don't. I rather do instead of teach, and I really didn't look at myself as like a type to be teaching, in a sense, because I always like to be a student. So people been asking me for years to do it, and I've always said no. So after so many years, I was like, man, let me give it a shot. So this is me hosting and teaching my first barber class step by step. I believe the videos that I got is really just of me cutting and a few conversations between me and the guys. But as far as like real footage, I know for a fact I recorded me actually cutting the head. Yeah, I know for a fact I got a few videos of me cutting. So I'm gonna put that in the video and y'all stay tuned. What's going on, y'all? I'm gonna do a voiceover just to explain to y'all what y'all seeing, what's going on, what's happening at the moment. So right now, this is my first model, and I'm just teaching how to do a drop fade and just letting them know like the steps that I take, the most simple steps that you can understand to give you the best fade that you can get. And it's something, the steps are so simple, like you can do it with your eyes closed. I don't recommend that, of course, because you need to keep your eyes open. But anyway, the steps are super simple and real easy to understand. I try not to complicate anything. I try not to make nothing harder than what it needs to be. I try to keep things super simple, super easy to understand, and not complicated at all. So as you see, I'm just cutting with the grain, letting him know the steps, letting him know what's going on. He letting me know how he would attack it. I'm showing him how I attack it. As you can see, pretty simple stuff. And then just talking to him and letting him know the steps that I take throughout the whole haircut, letting him know the steps that I take are the same steps each haircut. And I try not to derail from the system, because whenever you just create a system and you master that system and make your job way easier, it takes out the confusion, it takes out the overthinking, it takes out the nervousness, it builds your confidence. That way, whenever different people, different hair types, different textures come in, you already can execute it and not really be nervous, not really even have a second thought to it. You can just go in and execute, and you know you're performing your best because you're following the system. So as you can see, right now I've already started my first, people call it a guideline, but I already started my first guideline. I already cut them to the desired length. Right now we're talking about where to put the fade, the differences between the low fade, the mid fade, and the high fade, which ones have the C cups, which ones don't, what to do if you want to keep those C cups dark, what to do if you want to keep those C cups light, depending on how the client wants it. And the reason why, and that's the reason behind this conversation that we're having at the moment, because different people want different things. Just because we have a system towards the haircut, they have a way they want it to look whenever we're done. So you have to know the differences on where to put your fade, on where to put your blend, on where to put your guideline, so you can give them the look that they want, because it still can look good and still not be what they want, in a sense. And in the world we live in now, like, that really matters. Like, people paying you, especially if they paying you the amount of money that you want, they want what they want, and your job is to give it to them. So as you see now, I'm starting my fade process, letting him know the steps, step by step, letting him know how easy it is. And really already his biggest concern, we have already fixed it. Like, we've already answered it, already got past it, which was good. And I told him even before the class started, I said, once you see my process, once you see the process, you're going to realize, like, you've been overthinking a lot. You're going to realize you've been doing way too much work for no reason. But that's what we do in the beginning. We want things to be perfect. We want things to be the best way they can be. And we tend to overthink, or, sometimes, I'm not saying they did it, but, sometimes we can compare our work to other barbers. and we'll be like, oh man, why mine don't look like that? And what it'll do is it'll force you to spend more time on the head than what needs to be. So as you see, I'm explaining him, with the fade, the bottom line. Now I'm working on the lineup just to show him like, hey, this is how you execute the lineup. You see, I'm keeping the C curve. How would you do it? And then just asking and realizing how he would do it and letting him know how I would do it, and then mixing it to where he can understand it in a sense. Because I don't want to change the way someone do things. I really just want to get the way they do it, and then let's just perfect that. I don't want to change anything, because I feel like that's going to make it harder for them to understand, and then at the end of the day, they're not me, So my system, not my system, but my way of going about it is my way, and their way of going about it is their way. However, once I know their way, which is only so many ways you can really just attack certain stuff. So once I know their way, I can kind of get it to where it's like, okay, I see how you looking at it. So you looking at it from this way, and they be like, oh yeah, this is how I would do it. And it's like, okay, bet. Just add this and just do that, and then that'll help. And then they be like, oh, okay, bet. Just not overcomplicating it and giving them a whole brand new way. Just making things simple and letting them know, like, okay, if you just add this little thing right here, if you do this little thing right here, then you gonna be way better than how you was before. And once I realized, like, just to do that with people, it was like, oh yeah, this is easy, and it's something they can understand and walk away from knowing what I'm talking about, and they can actually implement. Because a lot of times you can give somebody your system, and they're so, what's the word? It's so much information, they'll end up not even being able to apply because it's so much, because you done gave them a whole new way of doing things. And some people still want to do things the way they want to do it. So just knowing that, it's like, okay, well, what's your way? Tips and tricks on your way, not go apply. Not a whole new way, just better in your way already, and then go apply. So as you know, I just knocked out the side fade. Now I'm knocking out the back. Not even gonna take me long. The haircuts usually don't even take long. If anything, the reason why, like, if we was already in the shop, the fade would already been done. The only reason why I'm really just taking my time and stuff like that is because I'm talking in between, letting him know step by steps what's going on, things of that nature, getting his opinion on things, and also answering whatever questions he may have while he's seeing me cut. So as y'all see, I'm on the lineup. I'm on the other side of the lineup, and just taking my time with it. I feel like with most barbers, especially like new barbers, I feel like what really gets them is those corners. And I feel like that's what like really like show the sharpness in the haircut is the corners. Like not having those sharp. I know whenever I first started cutting, I know that was a big thing for me. Like even people would even tell me that, like, hey, make sure your corners are a little more pointier or sharper, whatever terminology you want to use to make you happy. But that was one thing that I dealt with in the beginning. My corners wouldn't be as sharp. They'll be rounded, and my edge up would just look weak. It would just look like a soft lineup. It wouldn't really look hard and crisp and just precise, So I feel like that's one thing most barbers in the beginning don't really perfect until they put the time in, it's until they put the reps in, making sure those corners are nice and sharp naturally, not even with just enhancements. Now we doing enhancements now, and people are spraying and stuff like that, but with a natural lineup, making sure those corners are still crisp and precise. That way when they go to work the next day, or they're brushing their hair or combing through it or working out, whatever the case may be, they still got that precise that precise lineup, So other than the corners, another thing I could see being an issue is a lot of lineups in the beginning, they lean a little bit. And what they don't realize is what they're doing is, I can say this part without giving the whole class up. What they doing is, for that lineup to be leaning like that, especially when it's not naturally that person's hairline, a lot of times when they're on the side of the head, they're laying that trimmer flat instead of using their corners. A lot of times whether it's lining up or fading, and I can say this without giving the whole class up because there's other things I talked about that's way more informative. A lot of times we don't realize the importance of the corners and not using the whole blade. Like whether it's fading or lining up, there's certain parts where all you need is the corner and not the whole blade. But a lot of times we're using the whole blade because we just get used to it and we thinking we have to, not realizing all we need to do is use a corner or two, tilt the clipper up a certain way, and then it's gonna give you that look that that you're looking for. And showing him, detailed razor work and a little enhancement work. Just the simple things to really just take the haircut up a notch. And you already know this is actually my client. Like, so I already know he gonna love the cut. So that was the mid drop. That was a mid fade, mid drop fade. Wherever you located at, you call it different things. That was a success. Now we at the taper, and I wanted. So this client right here, this my guy. This young man is hilarious. This is my guy. So Markel usually gets a high taper, but for the class, I wanted to show both. I wanted to show a low taper and a high taper. So I started him off with a low taper, explaining that. And as you can see, from there, I went to a high taper. The low taper I thought was going to be hard to understand, but it really wasn't. I guess simply because after the fade portion and after knowing the steps, at this point, it really was like easy. Like it wasn't really that much teaching. At this point, it was really me asking them, what's the next step? All right, what to do now? Like quizzing them in a sense. Like I really didn't have to do as much teaching. At this point, I was really just asking them what to do. And I do that so I know you're retaining the information. I know you learning. I know you getting something out of it. And I know you understand what's going on. And what I do is I keep asking. And I let them know even at the end of the class. And I keep repeating myself. I let them know at the end of the class, hey, you know what you're doing now. Like it's no more questioning. It's no more trying to figure it out. And I tell them, I say, here's the proof that you know what you're doing. You just taught me how to cut a head. I only used the steps you told me. I didn't do nothing other than what you told me. So now that you see the cut from the steps that you told me to do, you know what you're talking about now. So go in the shop and execute. And I always go by that little mantra or way of thinking. That way it makes things simple. It makes things, we both understand what's going on. We both understand the steps. Now I know you don't have any more questions. I know you don't have any more concerns. I know it's not something you just don't understand because you just told me step by step what to do, and I've only did what you told me to do. So it went from me teaching them to them now telling me what to do, So, this is my guy Markel. We talking. I'm lining them up. Easy work. I'm showing the class what to do. How I usually attack lineups. And it's funny because usually Markel keeps his eyes closed. So it's certain things that I'm saying that I do. And Markel even said it. He never even knew I do it because he usually have his eyes closed. And of course, the way I do it, you're not finna know I'm doing it. So it was funny to even hear him say, like, I didn't know you was doing that. I was like, yeah, I always do that. But certain things I do in certain ways to make sure that lineup is right, to make sure that lineup is on point. And I always do it while before the lineup, in the middle of the lineup, and after the lineup. A lot of times barbers will just line somebody up, look at them one time, and then that's it. No, I look at it over and over just to make sure it's right. And as you see now, I'm just doing, some razor work, finishing up the haircut, and then that's it. We done.
Your money about to be better.
Yeah, and now you about to
You already paid for your class. The class didn't pay for itself. And then however much you charge, if you already could have, then it should be an issue.
Yeah. So you saying I should charge more?
Yeah.
Okay,
but especially to the people that's already clear. Because if you don't know, then at 65, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's gonna take you to a whole nother level if you already got what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Because at 65, if you don't know, you have to over-explain parts that you already don't know.
Right.
So then I feel like you should be paying more than that because I'm actually teaching you now because you getting game out of it.
Yeah.
Plus you making, if you already could, if you about to put, you about to
make more money.
About to make more money. Like it all fit together.
Yes, sir.
It all fit together.
Yeah.
I think you should pay definitely.
Definitely charge more.
I want to say, I don't know how much more, but if they don't know, then definitely you have to charge more. 65 is the information that you're getting. You can apply. I don't know applicable. That's the word.
Yeah.
It's applicable. Yeah,
Boss, you just like me. I'm not a talker, so like certain words, I just be like, yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
So like, they can apply, and if it can apply, I think you can make money off it.
Yeah, and it's easy to understand.
Yeah.
Because even towards the end of the class, you was actually teaching me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially if they get it at the end. If you get it at the end, you about to walk out the door. You won't have to come back for class 2.
Right. You ain't got to come back for another class.
Right.
Yeah. I appreciate you, boss.
So, as y'all see, that was the first haircut class I ever did. Like I said, I knew I didn't have any videos of me talking because whenever they was talking to me, I wanted to make sure I answered questions, explained myself to the ability that they can understand it, and basically talk to them about, things that they needed and go from there. So that was my first class. Will I do another one? Yeah. I don't know how I would do it. I probably would do it the same way. I don't feel like there's anything I really would change. Yeah, I don't think there's anything I really would change. Now, one thing that made me feel better was the fact at the end of it, one of the guys was like, I charged too little. I charged like $65 for the class. He was like, I charged too little based on the information that was given. And to me, I guess it's one of them things to you, it may not be that big of a deal, but to someone else it is. So to me, it was like, bro, I do this all day. I cut hair all day. So to me, it ain't that. I ain't think the information was just that type deal. But come to find out it is, which is good. So he was like, man, if anything, you should be charging more. So that's a good thing type deal. At least I don't never want nobody to, even with cutting hair, I don't never want nobody to feel like I got down on them. You know what I mean? Or like I was getting over and stuff like that. So that's one thing I never wanted to make someone feel. So I'm glad not only did they see the value in it, but they thought it was, they could have been priced higher type deal because they received more value than what was even priced, which is always a good sign. So that was my first class. Y'all saw me cutting. Y'all heard me talk about it. So y'all stay tuned. I don't know what the next video gonna be about, so we gonna both be surprised. Y'all like, comment, and subscribe, and I'm gonna see y'all on the next one.